Hey guys, today I'd like to walk you through AlayaCare's data exploration beta module. Now to get into data exploration, once you've signed into AlayaCare, one of the top tiles here you'll see is called data exploration beta. Once you've selected it, you'll see three different drop-down options. The first is AlayaCare reports. These are the most frequently asked for reports that we hear from typical agencies in terms of what they're looking to report on. You'll see reports such as employee facility lists, do not send list, or potentially services by clients. Again, all these reports have been created by AlayaCare for you based on common requests. The next drop-down section is agency reports. For right now, it's currently empty because I haven't created any reports, but this is where when you've created any of your custom reports, these agency reports that are specific to you will be housed. Now the final drop-down is entitled Cubes. And when I drop that down, I see a list of different cubes that I can select. Now when I say different cubes that you can select, what I'm talking about is the information within these cubes are based on the level of information that it's called. So for example, the visit cube is going to provide you information on the visit level. Another example would be the service cube. The service cube is going to provide you information for reporting at the service-based level. So to start off today's demonstration, I'm going to build out a report in the visit cube. So I'm going to select the visit cube, wait for it to load, and now I'm provided with a template in terms of creating my report. In this section here, I see a large list of fields that I can choose to add to my report. As you can see, there's available 193 fields. Now I can scroll through these fields and handpick anything that I want to add to my actual layout, whether I want to put it in a row, a column, or ultimately if it's a measure. And I'll go into more detail about that in a second. So to start off, rather than scrolling through this list, I'm actually going to use this Finder field. And I'm going to start off by creating some filters before I set up my report. Now filters, I'm going to start with, say, a visit date year, because I want all of my information to be reflective of the year 2016. So I'm going to start typing in visit start year. I know that that's one of the fields that are available within this cube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that field from the available field section and drag it over to where it says no filters here. Now when I drop that filter, I'm going to have a dialog box that comes up, and it's going to give me some options in terms of how I want to filter by the visit start year. So I can choose a commonly used time period. I can select from a list, so including or excluding certain years. I can select a range, current visit start year, previous start year, etc. I'm just going to go with the current visit start year because all I want to see is information from 2016. So I'm going to select OK after I've checked off current visit start year. Once I've done that, you can see that I have one filter. If I click on it, you'll see that that filter is the visit start year that I've added. Now, when I set up any of the reports before I've created them, I always decide to set up filters based on the most broad filter going down to more specific details. So for example, if I'm filtering based on visit kind of time frame, I'm going to start with the visit start year filter first. And then if I want to also filter based on the visit start month, I'm going to go to the visit start month, getting into more detail. And if I wanted to filter based on the visit start day, then I would filter by the visit start day after that. So going from broad, overarching kind of filters down to more specifics. For this example, I'm just going to filter by visit start year to begin my report. Now, if I wanted to find information, say, based on the client visits within the year 2016. So I'm going to start by putting maybe my client first name. I'm going to add that filter into my row section. Maybe the client last name. I'm going to add that field below the client first name. Maybe I want to add the client ID as well. I'm going to type in client ID. And maybe I realized that I wanted client ID to be placed before the first name and last name. So I'm going to actually choose where I want the client ID to be located. So I'm going to put it before the client first name, drop it into my rows. And as you can see, I have my client ID, client first name, client last name to start. Now, maybe after that, I want to provide information on the visit start month. So I've decided to not create it as the filter at the beginning, and I just want to add it as maybe a column within the report that I'm about to build. Now, don't worry about it saying no measure field right now. The only reason it says that is because I haven't added a specific measure field to my report. And why don't I do that right now? So before I do add that measure field, you'll see that there's specific fields that have a particular logo to the left of them. Kind of looks like three boxes stacked on top of each other. Those are sections or fields that you're going to put into either rows or columns as it matches these logos. Now, there's other fields like measures. So for an example, visit late hours average, visit late hours sum, if I wanted the visit count. Those are measures or calculations that we actually are going to have to drag into the measure section or they won't be added to our report. So I'm going to add the visit count. And as you can see, if I try to drop this into a row or into a column, I'm not going to be successful. But if I add visit count down to my measures section of my layout, then the detail will be provided. So now we have a report filtered by visit start year for the year 2016. We've added the client ID, client first name, client last name, and I've decided to add visit start month as a column rather than an additional row. And you can see that my months are broken down based on the visit count per client. Now, maybe as I'm building this report, I'm realizing that I actually want to filter down my visit start month just to the current month of October. So what I can do is there's an arrow beside each of these rows and measures that I've added. If I select this drop-down arrow, I'm going to have a couple options. I can edit, also show, filters, etc. So I'm going to add a filter to this visit start month. And similar to the dialog box that appeared when I created my visit start year, I have a couple options. So I'm going to go with the current visit start month. I can choose whatever I'd like, but for this example, I'm just going to go with current visit start month. I'm going to select OK after I've chosen my filter. And now only information for the month of October is going to appear in my report per client. So for example, this third client ID AC and ending with 093 for Gene Murphy, has 199 visits during the month of October 2016. Now, maybe I'm interested to see the services that are attached to each of these clients and have this detail broken down into specifics in terms of the visit count per service. So I'm going to add maybe the service code to this report. So I'm going to add the service code. And now I have a list of different service codes. So Gene Murphy is on two different services, one being HHA and one being CDM. 197 for HHA, 2 for CDM. But maybe I'm actually just looking for information on one service code. So I want to filter down specifically on, as an example, maybe this service code SDL PSW. So again, if you remember what I just showed you for visit start month filtering, I can also use the drop down here for service code and go to filter. And when I select filter, I'm going to see a list of the different options of service codes that are in the system that have appeared in my report already because there's been visits based on those services in the month that I've selected. So as I said before, I'm going to select SDL PSW. I'm going to use this arrow to bring it over to my right side, currently included, and I'm going to select OK. And once I've done that, I've now filtered my list to another level of detail or a smaller level of detail showing just clients who are on the service SDL PSW for the month of October. You can see the added filters that I've created as I've gone on in my report have been actually added in this top section, and you can always see what the filters are that you've placed into this report. So maybe I've completed my report. I've put in all the detail that I've wanted to. I've added the rows that I wanted to, the filters included within those rows and columns of detail, as well as a measure, so the visit count. So I'm going to save this report by obviously just selecting save. And maybe this is visit count October for service SDL PSW. Once I select submit, my report has been saved, and now I can see my visit count October for service SDL PSW has been saved as one of the agency reports that I've completed.